All right, we are going to be convene the emergency meeting of the Board of Ed. Pursuant to statute 2.2-3707D of the Code of Virginia. We have the authority to call an emergency meeting. That was done yesterday afternoon. There have been some issues that have been publicly raised about the backlog in teacher licensure, and what we hope to do today is to address and hopefully approve an item to help through that issue. So I'm going to turn this over, item A, to Dr. Coons.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to provide this item for you for first and final of emergency regulations to amend licensure regulations of school personnel to extend the expiration of renewable licenses. We have experienced unprecedented licensure changes and backlogs over the past several years. During the pandemic, renewable licenses were extended several times, which has created an end date right now. We are getting ready to launch a fully Cadillac version of a digital platform that we can launch in the fall. We want to give our educators the opportunity to use a high quality renewal system. It is within statute, as statute has moved from a 5-year renewal to a 10-year renewal process. And we want to afford the opportunity for that 10-year renewal and that extended renewal for all of our educators who are working diligently to support children. It is my first priority to look at some of these things. We know that we need a high quality licensed teacher in every K-12 classroom, and that has been my first initiative as superintendent. And this is one area that allows us to continue to focus on that work and ensure that we are elevating teachers, that we are looking at ways to put more teachers and high quality licensed teachers in classrooms. So I appreciate the review, and I hope that we can have a motion on waiving the first review and approve emergency regulation and delegate to the superintendent the authority to carry out the requirements. So I'm hoping that we can get into that space and have a conversation.
Okay, actually, before we have the discussion, let me fulfill the bylaw obligation. We have a quorum physically assembled here in one place, and we have participating remotely Dr. Davis Fought, Mr. Rotherham, and Mr. Sturtevant, all of whom I have approved in accordance with our bylaws. Okay, now, are there any questions? Comments?
Not a question, but just a comment by way of, well, actually a question as well. And but a comment by way of thank you, Dr. Coons, to focus and make as absolutely the facts dictate that our teacher shortage issues your top priority. And I welcome, I've heard you say that, and now in several different contexts, and it is really a crisis our divisions are dealing with, and I appreciate your recognition of its importance and your stepping in so quickly to treat it like a crisis, and to recognize that where there's something within the division and the department and the board's control that we can do to help address it, that we should do so on an emergency basis. And I'm just grateful to you for bringing this to our attention and bringing this opportunity to help the divisions along the way a little to us today. The question would be, at some appropriate moment, whether now is it or not, we'd love to hear just your update on whatever else you're able to share about what you're doing more broadly to address the licensure crisis. And if you've got anything else you're ready to share about the broader teacher shortage issues.
Absolutely. So I was able to attend the VAST conference and speak with several superintendents at that meeting, and heard very clearly that we needed to elevate this work and move it very quickly. That following Friday, we had a meeting with the leadership team at VAST. We also had reinstituted the task force on teacher licensure and had a combined meeting with that group, took recommendations from them. This is one of the pieces that came from those recommendations. And then we also are working with school division superintendents. We have a meeting tomorrow to talk about ways to elevate their authority, just like this is an elevation of the board's authority, to help us streamline that process. We also have reorganized the way in which we process licenses until that new Cadillac program is instituted. And we are reaching out to retired and part-time HR specialists to build out our staff to make sure that we can process licenses and make sure that all of the licenses that are pending are back on track no later than July 1st. So there are a lot of different internal pieces, but also working with our school divisions in partnership to make sure that we are all working together, and excited to have an all-call school division superintendent meeting tomorrow afternoon to talk with them about some options that we're going to put in place for them as well.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir. Mr. Sturtevant.
I believe like most board members are getting things done. And when I saw this email from Dr. Coons, I was very pleased to know that she is definitely on a mission to get some things done in the Commonwealth. And anything that we can do to get these licenses approved and push forward, I'm 100% behind it. So Dr. Coons, I want to thank you for the effort you put into this.
Anybody else?
Mr. President,
Ms. Creasy.
I would like to sincerely echo my appreciation for moving on this issue. It's one that has been on my radar for a couple of months now. But I would also just like to remind everyone here of the serious number of teachers that we have that are licensed, seeking renewal, but may or may not be in a local school division. So it's important to get this information out to them as well, because they're walking this journey alone. Those who are currently working in school divisions do have, that hand to hold. But we do have quite a few who are not employed. And so for one reason or the other, but just wanted to remind us of that as well. And this is going to be a huge help to them.
And we are working very closely with our communications team. I have given my secretary down to the team to make sure that, and she is working full-time with the HR team to make sure we're communicating with those school divisions and those individuals in the licensure process. And we will be launching a teacher support line as well for those individuals who may not have the support of a higher education if they're doing their initial license or renewal, or anybody in that provisional space. So we are definitely, one of those internal strategies is building out a communications pod inside the HR team to make sure we're being responsive. So appreciate that call out, and I apologize for not mentioning that specifically.
Thank you.
Okay. And is there a motion to waive first review and approve the emergency regulation, which will have the effect of basically allowing the administrative extension of licenses to June 30, 2024. Is there a motion? Did I do that already? Did I miss it? And second, by Mr. Hanson. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? That carries. Thank you all very much. I would like to echo Mr. Sturtevant's comments, Dr. Coons. It is particularly gratifying to have an item as important as this being acted upon this quickly. And I'm not taking away from your role in this, but I do understand it was a fairly extensive team effort in the last couple of days to figure out a way to make this happen. And, I know the impetus came from you, and we are appreciative, and I'd like to thank everybody else who was involved with this and resolving, at least temporarily, this incredibly important issue for the Commonwealth. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Goodbye.